Hey, IDs, I just completed the reading through the discussion for Module 12 on collaboration. And I got to tell you, that's it's really gotten to be really good. It's kind of ironic, well, not too ironic that the collaboration one is the one that seems to have rendered probably one of the very best discussions that we've had. And of course, there's a lot of factors involved in that. I mean, we've had a lot of practice over the past several weeks. And I think there's just been a really solid maturity that's developed, in this discussion group in terms of the citations of sources, the way that we quote the things, the way that we, examine and analyze each one of those quotations. And in this particular week, it just was, it was particularly noticeable with that. The connections that you made, the personalization. That's one of the things that was really remarkable. I think is that with these questions and these quotes, you pulled out, you connected them with your own experiences, and either in the ID program at Quinnipiac, or else elsewhere, or else in your classroom. And in the workplace. It's just really rich stuff. And of course, that's one of the things that's of value in having collaboration activities in the first place, and that's just a really great thing. So what I wanted to do is just kind of pull out some of the points that actually showed up in the discussion, and in the first one, I think was kind of already mentioned, and that's like deeper understanding. What are the advantages of, what are the good things about collaboration and things like that, and it does allow for a deeper comprehension of material. It's one of those things where if you're operating by yourself, you only have a limited amount of ideas that are passing through your mind. But if you're getting together with a few people, or one or two people, there's a situation where it just intensifies, and there's more things to grasp onto, and there's more ways of opening doors within your brain that make it for a deeper understanding, which is one of those values that can be seen there. And then there's some other things. One of the things that it came out that it does, the collaboration, is that the quieter students actually have a voice all of a sudden, right? And that's come up in the past in this discussion, where in a face-to-face environment, if you're a little shy, sometimes you're really not a participant in the discussion, because you don't feel confident enough necessarily to speak up, or there's a character within the classroom that's kind of takes over the discourse, or there's maybe an instructor that doesn't really invite questions. So there's all of that dynamic, and a lot of times in a discussion, students feel safer, and they're more likely to come out of their shell and actually speak up and things like that. And actually, you can notice that sometimes students that are doing it for the first time really show some growth over the entirety of the course, which is really interesting too. I've noticed that. So that's a really important thing. One of I want to get to the two ones that I think are really important. One is that was brought up, very, very valuable, and that is, you can't just have a collaboration activity and throw students into it and expect really good results. That is not going to work. What is very, very vital, and when you want to manage and to facilitate a thoughtful discussion of any kind, is it needs to be modeled. There needs to be examples. The instructor needs to be the facilitator, be the one that draws out questions, incites conversations, creates thinking. If the instructor is not involved, it does not work, as far as I'm concerned. And in this particular environment, right, with an academic discussion, okay, you can't just let the students go. And I think that's one of the things that really is very, very, very important. So whenever you're doing things like that, there's really got to be somebody that's kind of is moving the experience along, and in order for it to really have value. And then the last thing I really wanted to talk about was this whole idea of working in a group. Sometimes that's a really nasty thing, right? Some students really like it, some would rather not. They really rather work by themselves. And one of the things that I've really tried hard to do when I'm thinking about this, our final project, is as you've noticed, created individual assignments, individual work that happens within your own module, that you're accountable to yourself. And then there's other things that's the sharing, that you have to collaborate with, you have to work together. You have to work together on the syllabus. You have to come to the table with a plan. and all of that. So I'm trying to create a balance there of respecting people's interests and things like that. That's one of those things too. But working together, it comes back to a couple of my favorite educational psychologists and so forth, John Dewey and Vygotsky. And John Dewey's thing is, it's social. Learning is social, and I see that all the time with my children, especially my youngest boy. He really is at a big advantage over his older sister because he's interacting with kids and with adults, and all the time he has got so much input that he's getting as a little guy. And my oldest daughter just didn't have quite as much. And so you can see how a lot of times, your younger kids end up being the smarty pants kids because they're just overwhelmed with language. Okay, so I think that's a really important thing. And then one of the big thing that I always hold on to, and I mentioned this before, is Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. And just as a reminder, the zone of proximal development is where it is the margin line of where an individual is capable of doing things, and then what the individual is capable of if they're working with a capable person alongside them, and it increases significantly. And you can just see it about in this discussion where when you get insights from other people, you're limited by yourself, but if you expand it out with a couple of other people, it just really makes things happen. And I know you've been in a meeting or something like that when you've noticed that somebody said something, and all of a sudden this incredible idea comes through, right? And that's a part of it. I got to think also that there's in my own mind that there's got to be a diminishing rate of return, right? In terms of the size of a group, right? One person, two person, and then if it's 15, it probably is not going to be as effective. If you look at the discussions of the semester, it looks like a 4, sometimes 5 person group works pretty good. I got to be thinking that's going to be one of those kind of sweet spot points of a discussion. So anyway, that's all. Really great discussion. I'm really thankful that I got a chance to be a part of that, and I hope you all have a really great Thanksgiving. And we're getting down to the end, so I can't wait to see the projects. I'm really excited about that. All right, we'll see you later. Bye.